Hello, everybody. This is Nicole Johnson Starr and Kevin Lake with the PTSD Retreat Radio Talk Show. We are hanging out tonight live. So that means you guys will be able to hang out with us and send us your comments through Skype at the PTSD Retreat. You know, that no spaces, all lower caps. And you can also call in at 801-580-1976. Now, you can't call into Spreaker directly, but you can call the cell phone. So the cell phone is on and it's right here. And I will relay your comments on the radio. But we may be changing that. I was just talking to Kevin about that. So we'll see what happens. Because Spreaker may be becoming a thing of the past for us as we move on to bigger and better things. But,
yep, if they can't keep up, we gotta leave them behind.
Darn Skippy. So, what did you do for New Year's, by the way?
New Year's, you must not have seen my Facebook page. I planted a cactus.
You planted a cactus?
See the picture of my cactus that I planted?
You know, I'm going to go on there right now.
Okay, you'll have to scroll down. I've been putting so many pictures on. But I planted a cactus. It's about 5 feet tall that I found in a community rubbish pile in the jungle. I found it about a week before, but I saved it till the last day of 2012 to plant because I viewed the cactus and the planting of the cactus as symbolic in my own life of my own 2012. You and I have talked numerous times now, Nicole. You know a lot more about me personally than maybe you intended to know. But
there's something about sharing a bathroom experience, you guys. You have to go to the previous episode for that one.
2012, I was at a very low point in my personal life. I was suicidal, homicidal, addicted to any medication the VA could throw at me, and I was happily chasing it down with alcohol instead of water. And I was living in a very small jungle village 4 hours away from the closest city. I didn't have internet access. I didn't have running water. I was living in a squatter community where all these homeless villagers live, freely, but of course the person that owned this shack was kindly charging me 5,000 pesos a month in rent. God bless their soul. I was being taken advantage of by everybody around me. The middle-class American went into the jungle and began living like a poor Filipino squatter, while all the poor Filipino squatters in that community were soon living like a middle-class American. I was dying. I was close to death, and no one around me cared. A couple people did, but they didn't really recognize the signs. So anyway, the good news is I escaped that situation. I finally just fled. I wanted to flee away under the cover of darkness, but my life was in danger attempting to leave that village. And the people, when they found out that I was going to leave, I was not in a safe position because I was an ATM machine to those people. Anyway, long story short, I got out of the jungle. I made it back into civilization. I got back, and I was delivered by a higher power. That's how I shared it on the picture I posted on my author's page and my personal page on Facebook. And again, you can go to Kevin E. Lake Author on Facebook and read this story. But basically, I'd been thrown away in the jungle to die, and I was laying there dying. But I was delivered by a higher power, and I came back to life. Forged ahead, moved, and then in 2012, rediscovered sobriety, got off of all the crap the VA had given me, got off all the pain pills the Army had given me. I mentioned in the book Off Switch, there in the author's afterword, that I was on 7 different medications. One of the medications I was actually prescribed to counteract side effects of one of the other medications. So I was receiving medication to treat medications. It's crazy. But hey, that's the arrangements the VA has with these large pharmaceutical companies, and there's Pfizer has to make that money, and why test on rats when we've got these Army veteran guinea pigs, in these VA warehouse hospitals and whatnot. But anyway, I got back into my career, or my passion rather, writing. I wrote Off Switch. I've come back to life, and I mentioned on the story I tell it on Facebook. December of 2012, the last month of the year, I surpassed in sales, and I'm going to give the numbers because I've got an ex-wife out there, and she'll be able to try to figure out if I put this out there. But my sales, previously September of 2011 was when I had the most sales for my books in my writing career. My novel From the Graves of Babes was #1 in customer satisfaction at the time on Amazon.
Nice.
Everybody was reading it, talking about it. I'd released a collection of short stories that sold well. Well, in December, with a week to go, I passed sales for that period, and I looked at Dearly and I said, wow, I just beat my record, and there's still a week to go. I might sell 10 or 20 more books than that even. But even that was an understatement because I crushed my previous record. I sold more than 50% more than the previous record, which if you do the math the other way, it's a 33% increase over the previous record. And half of the first days gone in 2013 there in the States, where it's the first January 1 there in the evening, and already I'm on pace to break that monthly record. So that's why I planted that cactus. The cactus is a symbol of endurance. It can thrive. It can survive. It was thrown into the jungle to die, as I felt I was. Now, folks, I threw myself there. Yeah, I had some help with some prescription pills. I'm the one that chose to chase them with alcohol instead of water, so I'm not entirely innocent in having been thrown. And then I said, yeah, sure, I'll go live in this little third world jungle village. Not realizing, well, you know what, no matter how much you want to accept people of other cultures in other places at times, they might not always accept you for wanting to be so accepting of them. And it was a bad choice. It was a bad decision, but I've made other choices differently since that point. That cactus represents that. So that's what is representative. That's what I did on my last day, Nicole. That was New Year's Eve. And then that evening, I had a wonderful dinner with my family, with Dearly and our son, Danielle, and then her little sister, Mary Jane, who's come to visit us for a few days. And then on January 1...
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I want to know about that mango float that she made.
Oh, you're seeing the pictures?
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's a traditional Filipino dessert. It's basically graham crackers. Dearly took a bunch of graham crackers, crushed them up, and then she lined the bottom of a pan with that, as well as sweet cream and condensed milk. And then she took fresh mango fruit, and sliced it very thinly. And then she put a layer of mango, more cream, and then uncrushed graham crackers. And then she repeated that about 3 times. So it's kind of like a mango graham cracker sandwich and sweet cream and condensed milk. And then she stuck it in the freezer, and it didn't, not long enough to get it completely frozen, but just enough to solidify the cream. Oh, I couldn't stop eating it. There's none left. I mean, you see how much she made. There's none left, and I almost ate it myself exclusively.
Wow, I'm looking at what you guys had. This table, I'm drooling.
Oh,
I'm drooling.
It was delicious. I ate until I almost got sick. I mean, I was a pure glutton. I ate like, it was crazy. Yeah, the food here is so delicious. You know, Nicole, and you and I have talked about the low cost of living here. One US dollar is worth 41.5 of their pesos. And, you know, when I lived in the US, it was a struggle just to meet my basic needs, including food. And a lot of times I ended up eating, you know, the macaroni and cheese and the frozen dinners because that's what's cheap. If we look at our obesity problem back in the States, a lot of it's because a lot of people just can't afford to eat healthy. One of the advantages I have of living here in the Philippines with this low cost of living is that I can afford to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. I mean, the chicken and the pork you see on that table was breathing and eating itself less than 24 hours before it ended up on my table.
Wow.
You know, you talked about your turkey and wanting to have poultry. We've had chickens. We don't have them anymore because the filth they create isn't worth the meat. And the meat, you know, it's 120 pesos a kilo. It's about $3 per kilo for fresh chicken at the market. So we buy that.
Nice.
But we still continue to grow our
everything
fruit.
else.
I see your comment there. Yes, my banana tree's gotten huge in just the last 3 weeks since you've seen it. We grow bananas, papaya, mango, and then all the vegetables, eggplant, string bean, camote tops, Asian type potatoes.
Just so you guys are aware, the first episode that I did with Kevin, that tree was just barely above his head. That was what?
Yeah, it was about 6 feet tall about 3 weeks. Maybe a month ago, yeah.
It was a month ago. And now it's at 9 feet tall. That's amazing. I love that growing season.
They grow like weeds. I mean, it's summer every day of the year here. I mean, yesterday, January 1, when I went on my 15-mile mountain bike ride, you know, I always believe in whatever you do on the first of the year. is representative of what you can expect for the entire year. So I went on a 15-mile mountain bike ride out to the beach and through the country. And but it was 100 degrees, 100 degrees. And sometimes it's unbearable and it's not always pleasant. But you can grow fruits and vegetables all year long. And so we do that. And 90% of the fruits and vegetables that we eat are grown in our own yard.
Wow. I'm jealous. I mean, I'm living here now on a farm, and we actually grow our stuff, but we don't have the same growing season. So
Right.
I miss that tropical, subtropical environment for growing. So talking New Year's, you went for your bike ride. What did you make as your New Year's resolution?
I made several. I've got some, goal-oriented resolutions in regards to my writing and stuff. But basically, the biggest resolution, and I'm glad you asked, Nicole, and I'm happy to share this on the show, is to, as you and I both know, we've got to be careful about what we think because our thoughts become our realities and our thoughts become our actions.
Yes.
My biggest goal for 2013 is to control my thinking, get away from what we call stinking thinking, be more positive. It's too easy for me, and I think a lot of people, to get on Facebook and, my post for the day is what was the most negative experience I had that day. Oh, this person said this to me and blah, blah, blah. Well, those things still happen, and they still get under my skin. I mean, I have PTSD. My biggest issue is my uncontrollable anger outbursts. So it's kind of like that guy in the movie The Incredible Hulk that went off to South America to live until he could figure out how to control it. Well, I'm here in the Philippines kind of doing that. And the biggest thing for me to control it is to think positively. And we were just talking about the food we feed our bodies, the fresh vegetables versus, the fresh meats. Our minds will perform accordingly as based upon what we feed our minds through our eyes and our other senses. And Nicole, I'll share this with you. I saw a video a couple weeks ago on YouTube. It was about a 1-minute video. You may have seen it. It's filmed. It's a British video. There's a blind man with a sign that says, "I'm blind, please help." And people are walking by. Nobody's saying anything. Every now and then somebody will throw down half a pound or whatever. Well, this woman comes along and she takes her marker and she changes the sign, but we don't see what she's saying. She puts it down and she leaves, and then people are coming by and they just start throwing pound after pound, the British currency at this guy. The girl comes back at the end of the day, and he feels her shoes. He had felt her shoes before to see who she was. And he says, "What did you do to my sign, love?" And she says, "I wrote the same thing, just with different words." And then we see the sign, and the sign reads, "It is a beautiful day, but I cannot see it." And I thought, okay, there's a message in there for me. What is it? And the message is, if you change your words, you can change your world. So, Nicole, I've been marketing almost exclusively toward soldier and veteran groups for my book Off Switch, with the message, hey, thanks for supporting the troops. I'm a veteran. I wrote this book to address the issue of PTSD and suicide among our veterans and soldiers. Can you please share it? And so many people have, and that's why I'm enjoying the success I have, because of those I've found who are willing to help me, such as yourself. Well, after watching that video, it took me 4 or 5 days to figure out the message in it for me. And so I took that same ad, I changed 2 words and 2 different sentences, and then I expanded my horizon towards other groups. And I've been marketing towards a lot of the inspirational groups, motivational groups. And at first, I thought, well, this isn't going to work, because a big vet or soldier group on Facebook might have 20 or 30,000 people in it. There are a couple that have 50 to 100,000, but there's only a few that I've found. Well, these inspirational, motivational groups, a small group has 50,000. Most of them have 2 or 3 or 400,000. Many of them have more than 1 million. I'm cutting and pasting my message saying, hey, thank you for being positive and spreading positive messages into the world. Here's a message of hope I've written. It's kind of dark, but the good news is I live to tell it. I want to help other people who are suffering from PTSD and address the issue of suicide among our veteran soldiers. Can you please help me? Well, a couple days go by, and then I start getting messages back saying, sure, we'd love to help. And there are now groups with hundreds of thousands of members in them sharing this message about my book on Facebook and sales. Like I said, the first day of January 2013, I'm already on pace to beat last month's sales, to go by daily average of sales. And so, Nicole, my goal for 2013, my biggest resolution is to focus on the good. Instead of focusing on the disease, PTSD itself and all the disease part of it, all the bad things, is to focus more on the cure or the treatment of it, which really is grounded in positive thoughts, positive actions, focusing on the good things in your life, not the bad things in your life. You've got to get away. I cannot say this enough. You've got to get away from the poisons, be they come in bottles containing liquid poison.
Yep.
My own opinion, I'm not a doctor or a shrink, but a lot of the medications, the pills I was given did more harm to me than the PTSD did to me itself. Caused me to relapse on alcohol after nearly 8 years of continuous sobriety without a single drink. Okay, and thirdly, poisonous people. There are some really good, well-intentioned people out there who are bad for us. Some of them may be related to us. We've got to distance ourselves from all things poisonous, be they people, places, or things, and focus on the good. And what I've been finding just in the last couple of weeks, Nicole, and I want to carry this forward for the entire year and beyond, is that when I focus on the good things in my life, I start to see that there are more good things in my life I've not been focusing on. If I go back and focus on the bad, I'll end up back in the jungle like that cactus.
You know what? I'm going to add to that. Recognizing with gratitude. Exactly. You know, that all the wonderful things that have, not just the wonderful things, everything that has occurred in our life. I did this with a veteran. I won't give his name. This gentleman had a very negative look on life, a negative outlook. And I challenged him to find one thing. I first challenged him to find 3, and he says he couldn't do it. I'm like, all right, then I dare you to find 1. Because anybody can find 1. I dare you to find just 1. And I mean just 1. You're only allowed to find just 1. And he's like, what? I said, I don't want to hear any more. You're only allowed to find just 1. 1 every day. You know, because...
You change your words and you change his entire way of looking at things.
Yes, and by the way, I did watch that video.
Okay, good.
And I posted it, by the way, for all of you just listening.
I probably got it off your wall.
No, you didn't, but I just put it on there.
Okay.
This guy had to change. He goes, I need to renegotiate. I'm like, what do you mean you need to renegotiate? I need to move my 1 up. I said, okay, what number would you like to work with? He goes, well, I started out with 1 and I had trouble finding it. I've now been finding 10 or 15 every day. I think I need to move it up higher. I'm like, all right, dude. And I won't continue with the conversation because the point has already been made. He had trouble finding 1, but when he started recognizing, next thing he knows, he is finding it everywhere. He's finding things to be grateful for, finding things that are awesome, and his life started changing. This guy is amazing. This guy is so amazing now. I haven't been in contact with him for a while, but the last time I spoke to him, he had stopped drinking, he had stopped doing drugs, he had stopped smoking. He had gone from being extremely overweight to being back in shape. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. You know, there was a story I heard about 10 years ago. You know, Nicole, I used to be a runner, and a lot of people that know me know I used to run competitively. I was a state champion miler, ran track in college. And I remember reading a story about 15 years ago about this guy who wanted to kill himself. But he was depressed, he was overweight. He didn't want to bring that negative stigma upon his family that suicide often brings, erroneously. Mm-hmm. So he decided he would kill himself by running himself so hard that his heart exploded. So he went out, he took off sprinting, he ran so hard, he fell to the ground, he couldn't run anymore. Well, the next day he said, you know what, I'll just do it again. It didn't work yesterday, but I'm going to kill myself. And this guy started running for the sole purpose of killing himself. But what happened is instead, he ended up getting in shape. He ended up getting happy. And today, I mean, I don't know, it's been 15 years, but at the time when I read this article, he's one of the happiest men on earth. He loved his life, he was healthy, he was seeing the good things in life again instead of the bad things, and he was so glad, I guess, he didn't use another means of taking himself out of the world.
Wow. Now that totally rocks my world. Because I love hearing stories like this. You know, people think, you know, it couldn't get any worse. This is the end. I just can't do it anymore. I can't do it. I'm done. Those 2 words, I'm done. You know, I quit. I'm done. Can't do it. Saying those words over and over only increases that feeling. How do I know this? Because if I go into a depressed mode, those words can come so easily. I I can say that because I fight, being depressed every single time my daughter leaves again. It's really hard. And by the way, today is like one of those days. But I actually have a really good thank you so much for being here, Kevin, because you make me laugh every time. Because, folks, what you guys can't see is we make faces at each other. He writes things down, and you guys can't see it, but I sure do, and it makes me smile. And then if you look at his pictures in his author's page on Facebook, there's all sorts of pictures of him just smiling. So you got automatically smile just looking at this guy. And if you see him dressed in his work clothes, it's even funnier. So I am seeing him dressed in his work clothes. So, but anyway, it's tough, and so those thoughts come really easy. The negative. This sucks. Life can't get any worse. I'm missing her. Why is it like this? Da 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 da. You hear the things, and I know, folks who are listening, you can come up with your own really easily. But the moment I find something positive, because I'm trained to acknowledge the things that I'm actually grateful for, I actually get to say, that is okay, because I've got this that I'm grateful for. I've got this that I'm grateful for. And I've got you, Kevin, right now that I'm very grateful for, among many other things that are in my life. And my body is so trained to recognize them, they start coming in. It's like the clock's on a time watch, a stopwatch, they keep coming. The time goes faster and faster, and the thoughts keep coming faster and faster. And next thing I know, I'm no longer feeling depressed. I feel happy.
And Nicole, here's a little trick you can do, and here's something that everybody listening can do. We spend a lot of time on Facebook, and we're talking about that now because you and I are both communicating with our listeners and our readers on the internet, and social networking is a big part of that. And our people are listening to us now on Spreaker and on YouTube. But while we're online, we'll often have Facebook up, and what's coming across that you're reading? Is it a friend talking about how, if they didn't have 3 kids, they just get divorced because they hate their wife or they hate their husband? Is it somebody saying, I don't want to, you get the point. Well, when I changed my words in an attempt to change my world, take a different avenue with my marketing, I started liking all these inspirational groups, just as I'd liked all these military and vet groups, which I support and still stay in contact with. They're doing great things for a lot of people, like the PTSD retreat is doing here. But now what I notice is for instance, I'm looking at my Facebook page right now, and I like a group called Awaken the Mind. Mm-hmm. And here's their post. It says, "You don't have a soul. You are a soul. You have a body." And this is a quote from C.S. Lewis. So this is what I'm seeing now. This is the food I'm feeding my mind through my eyes. It's positive food. So instead of, I'm no longer feeding my body that 80-pound genetically engineered turkey from the U.S. poultry farm, because I'm feeding my body the free-range, raised native Visayan chickens and turkeys here in the Philippines, my body's healthier. Likewise, since, I'm reading here where C.S. Lewis said years ago that, I don't have a soul, I am a soul, I have a body. I'm seeing that now more often in inspirational quotes like that, instead of, I hate my life, I want to die, because my PTSD is in me. I believe it's a disease similar to addiction that will always be inside of me, but I can treat it. It's treatable, perhaps not curable, and I might be off on this. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not an LCSW, but I do know that when I start that stinking thinking and I'm getting negative and I'm reading all this bad stuff, I'm easier to get angry or to get sad or to get depressed than when I'm reading the good positive messages. So I would recommend everybody listening go out and like a lot of these inspirational groups. And so what? Here's one. It says, "Never give up, no matter what." And it's a picture of a pawn. It's a chessboard. There's one white pawn facing the entire team of black pieces: the king, the queen, the knights, the rooks, all that, the entire suit. And it says, "Never give up, no matter what." That's more inspiring than a lot of the other things that we feed our heads with.
Yeah, it's amazing the things that are out there. And you know what? This year, December 21st, 2012, end of the world. There is a comment on Awaken the Mind. I've actually posted from them before. It's their the picture of the abs one, epic fail. But they said on there, instead of focusing on, now that the year's over and we can stop focusing on the end of the world, let's focus on building a better world now. We can change our world. And it doesn't, you don't have to fix the whole world. Just fix your world.
Yeah. Just fix the world around you as much as you can.
Yeah. It starts with, there's I don't know if I've mentioned during our sessions before, when we've been talking on here, with Impact Trainings. This organization is located in Draper, Utah. You can go to their webpage at www.impacttrainings.com. They have tons of inspirational stuff. They also have a Facebook page. But one of the things that I learned through there is that if it's meant to be, it's up to me and my committed action.
Right.
Committed action is the beginning of everything. What's my committed action? I could be just, I choose to live today. I choose to be alive. I choose to smile in this moment. I choose to acknowledge the cool things that are changing in my life. The positive things with gratitude. I choose to change my words. I mean, the smallest things possible.
Okay, Nicole, I just talked about these large groups.
Mm-hmm.
Just now, I received a message. But part of what I do, I've shared this with you before, as a self-publishing author. Every day there's 3 components to my job. Number 1, of course, is writing, and I shoot for 1,000 words a day. Number 2 is reading, because Stephen King, my favorite author, I chose to take this finger. Folks, I'm counting down from 3 on my fingers, and I saw that if I took one down before the other, I was going to give Nicole a very unpleasant welcome. So I intentionally took the middle one down first, so I wouldn't do that. I gave her my ring finger, but she must have read my mind because she gave me the welcome. I did not want to give her. Anyway, I love you too, Nicole.
Yeah.
Anyway,
mutual.
Okay, I read, I write. Stephen King says to be a good writer, you've got to read a lot, you've got to write a lot. And so I think that guy probably knows what he's talking about when it comes to writing. So I read in 2012 55 novels. It's my goal in 2013 to reach 60. You had asked earlier about my goals. But anyway, the third component of my job as a self-publishing author is to, of course, sell my book, because I don't have some big publishing company behind me. So I do it by attempting to, I don't attempt, I do it. I make 25 contacts a day, period, on my own accord. From the time I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning until I go to bed around 9 or 10 at night, I will not go to bed until I've made at least 25 contacts, because I'm passionate about what I'm doing. But I'll finish up with this. I mentioned those other groups, how big they are and how intimidating it was. Well, I just got a message back from one of my 25 contacts this morning called Yep, I Built This. It's a small business site that has 250,000 members in it, I believe. They just...
they have 226,729 members.
Okay, they just messaged me back. Hello, Kevin. We appreciate your kind words. Thanks for taking the time to send us your written work. And what a powerful and important message this is. We wish you and yours a prosperous and successful 2013. Keep doing what you love. 250,000 people, and they took the time to respond to me. And I don't know if they posted the link or not yet, but within the next hour or two, they more than likely will. This is what, folks, I've contacted thousands of people since the book came out in October. And commonly, when I get a message back like this, they've gotten on their list, and a lot of times they'll say, yep, just shared it, thanks. So my message is, if you have a goal you want to achieve and you're willing to believe in yourself, believe in the folks that believe in you, thank them for helping you, and do the work required to make it happen, you can do it. Don't let your mind intimidate your spirit. Make your spirit tell your mind to shut the hell up until it wants to say something positive, and it wants to get on board and join your team and work relentlessly in the efforts toward achieving your goals.
I'm going to actually take, if you guys want to know about the Yep, I Built This page, I've already liked it, so you can go to the PTSD retreat page to find it. It's there, or you can just type in Yep, I Built This on Facebook and it'll come up. Folks, he said something that's really big. If you're into marketing, or you're doing direct sales, or you just own your own business, he just gave you a free piece of advice, and this is the second time he's done it, so I'm so grateful because I learned something from him because of it. 25 contacts a day. Think about how many different people we contact. So I'm going to change that For those of you who desire to assist veterans and firefighters and police officers and their families, reach out to 25 contacts. I'll even choose easy for you guys. A week. Reach out to 25 veterans if you can in a week. And notice I threw the challenge in there with the if you can. Reach out to 25 veterans every week and tell them thank you. Don't run up to them and shake their hands, and don't run up to them and squeeze them, because you might get a really unpleasant reaction for those guys just coming back. But walk up to them and tell them thank you. I just want you to know I appreciate you. And then expand that. Don't just do the veterans, do people around in your world. 25 people every week. If he can do 25 contacts in a day, I challenge you to do that 25 people in a week. Anybody can do it. And see what happens. As a matter of fact, I'll even take that challenge myself. I will contact, personally, 25 veterans